Welcome back to Midpoint. Former Republican member of the House from Oklahoma's 5th Congressional District, columnist and radio host for the Washington Times, Ernest Istook joins us. All right, Congressman, you had one more note you wanted to make about Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, Mitch wants to lean over as Senate Majority Leader in January, and I've heard other members of Congress start echoing that theme. Let me tell you what that means. They're saying they want the tough decisions to be made while Republicans are weaker and the Democrats and Harry Reid have full control of the U.S. Senate. They want to let the tough decisions be made on liberal Democrat terms rather than standing up for the things that the voters voted for in this election. Voters didn't vote to extend the time that Harry Reid is in charge. They voted to cut it off as quick as they can. So this notion that we have to start January, the Republican majority with a clean slate, is dangerous because it means we're going to roll over and play dead just to get the tough issues off the table so we don't have to deal with them and they'll be resolved the wrong way. That
Congressman, I got to be honest with you. It sounds again as if the Republicans, even after the midterms and a resounding win here, are right back to the same infighting that we've seen all summer long, because we have some saying, we don't want Jeb Bush, we don't want Mitch McConnell to do this, we don't want you to give one single inch here on anything that you were elected for at the midterms. We've got infighting again. Isn't this going to just tear this party apart again?
Well, we do have infighting in the Republican Party. You're exactly right. Now, it hasn't torn the party apart because they still realize that as much as there is between some Republicans, between the the people who like to call themselves mainstream Republicans and conservative Republicans, who I believe are actually mainstream, sure, there's a gulf there, but there's a much larger gulf between all of them and the liberal Democrats, the so-called progressives. That's the biggest gulf. So even though there's infighting among Republicans, they realize that it's better than the alternative.
Do you think, though, that we can solve this? The Republicans can actually come to some sort of a consensus before it becomes dangerous, and then we get down to shutdowns and all these other different items that Republicans would get blamed for, regardless if they were to blame or not?
Yeah, a big question is how much courage do Republicans have to stand up and take a beating from the liberal media in order to stop President Obama's wayward amnesty program.
Then who's the courageous one,
Congressman? That would give
Congressman?
jobs to millions of illegals at the expense of Americans.
Who's the courageous one then? Who's that one person that needs to stand up, have a spine, and get it done and lead?
Oh, there's not just one person. That's the problem. In the legislative body, you've got to have a whole bunch of people that have spines. You've got plenty of people that have courage in Washington, D.C., but we don't have enough of them. We have too many people that don't like bad publicity, or they say, oh, we'll be blamed for a government shutdown. Well, a government shutdown is only a small percentage of the government. It's not essential services that get shut down. It's a that's used. And if you're not willing to play hardball, you are going to lose. I promise you.
Are you in favor of a shutdown if it's necessary?
No, well, I don't think a shutdown is, quote, necessary. But I do think that if other spending for federal agencies temporarily lapses and some people are not able to do their work in the federal government, that's a small price to pay compared to having millions of people who are here illegally get work permits, take jobs at the expense of Americans, extend the unemployment woes of many people, extend the number of people, a record number of people who are on food stamps. I mean, the consequences of President Obama's amnesty are much worse than a so-called government shutdown, which is a misnomer. It's not really a shutdown.
So if you had a vote and nothing moved on immigration, you would say, go ahead and do the shutdown, whatever level.
Well, again, what I would say is I wouldn't say I want a shutdown. I would say that I want to fund other parts, essential parts of government, but I am not going to put a penny into helping finance President Obama's amnesty program because there's tons of processing. It's going to cost hundreds of millions of dollars just to do the processing and issue the permits that they have in mind. So nobody votes in favor of a shutdown. It's only a question of, are you willing to vote to give money to President Obama's amnesty program? I think most Americans say, don't do that.
I only have about 20 seconds left. I needed to get this question in. Mitt Romney and Ben Carson 1-2 in a recent poll for president. Do you really think either one of them could get elected?
I think there's a possibility. We have to wait and see who they're up against. And keep an eye on Wisconsin's governor, Scott Walker, as well. He's got a lot of support, too.
But you would say that Scott Walker probably has a better chance than Mitt Romney or Ben Carson.
Oh, I think it may, but give Ben Carson a lot of credit. You know, he hasn't been tested with the electorate, and he's got a lot of appeal.
All right, we're going to come back and revisit this again. Congressman Istook, it's always a pleasure. We'll read you in the Washington Times as well. Look forward to the next time. Thanks so much.
All righty.
Billions and billions of dollars being spent over toys and gadgets featuring some of the worst commercial moments in broadcast history. It's called Christmas marketing. It's right after the break here on MidPoint.